Welcome to NewtoMedia, where we connect you to the best service professionals and help you learn about great experiences all over the world.
Had just about every single human being that has gotten on my show say that my voice is the most epic online voice. So there must be some truth behind it. And somebody like you who's been in radio, wow, huge compliment. So thank you.
Yeah, I dealt with I wasn't on the air, but like a lot of the people I dealt with, Mick, I'm thinking Captain Jack, has that deep voice that like is just you just
soothing.
So recognizable, but that's awesome. And again,
it's
thank
amazing.
You for your I'm sure that
Absolutely.
Michael a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit more, I know, about what we do, but you're talking our language because
Michael and I were just getting started into that, but we decided to wait for the boss.
No, sorry about that. I figured it out. I had to make Chrome my preferred wanted tab, so it's all taken care of.
Yeah, heaven forbid you use another browser. I mean, nowadays the online world is amazing to me how much they force you into these certain boxes that you must use. And it's like, I just need it for one thing. I don't need it for the rest of my life, and it's like, I don't know how to use this one.
Technology makes me nuts sometimes.
It's absolutely mind-bending. And I'm always just like, okay, and if you don't have patience, then you're not going to do anything in life because you've got to really I meditate for an hour a day, every day of my life. And people who know me say my superpower is calm, as that I'm always calm. And that what they don't know is I'm like a duck, on the top, I look real calm, but underneath I'm paddling so fast and hard to stay up because, you never let anybody see the struggle, right? The struggle is the part we hide. But boy, is it hard to be calm when the technology doesn't do what it was supposed to do. I'm like, every bit of my meditation must come into action right now. Or else I'm going to throw this computer through the wall.
It's so true.
And then, of course, we all blame it on the computer, right? It's the computer's fault. It's the phone's fault.
I always like to say, I think because when you grow up in the 80s, I always say I can get so far and then that chip turns off. And then I'm I don't understand anything you're talking about. I get that far,
Well, us Gen Xers are a different breed, It's amazing we survived life at all, I think it's funny. I think it's funny that one day when I was a kid, all of a sudden out of nowhere, somebody decided to start looking for missing children and put them on a milk carton. I was like, you know what? We should probably start looking for some of these kids that are going missing. But up until then, it was like, do you know where your kids are at 10:30 at night on the on the TV to remind parents to go look for your kids? Like that's how bad it was. And I don't like you guys. I'm sure my parents knew nothing about my childhood. I never saw them, never talked to them. They were never around. They didn't care. It was like, kids these days have so many rights. I'm like, wow. It's like they're the boss. They run stuff. And,
exactly.
I'm not that kind of parent, so I'm not letting you run anything. But it's certainly the Gen Xers have survival skills that are beyond most others. Well, finally, we're all ready to go. So let's do it. Let's talk about real estate. You guys got a lot to talk about, so I'm not sure who to address what to. And so you guys start out by telling me who got into real estate first.
No, we actually got into real estate together.
Simultaneous, huh?
Yeah, Michael was doing some real estate before I met him in Myrtle Beach and out of the state of New Jersey. And then when I lost my job and we decided we were going to open up our own advertising agency. And so we did that. But then we said, you know what, let's dabble more into this real estate. We're interested always in investing and flipping homes and getting some buy and holds and things like that. And so we took a lot of courses together and then just built a company and said, okay, let's go full steam ahead. And frightened as could be. But got to take the step.
If you're not scared, you're not doing the right thing. You got it.
I live in fear all the time, Kris.
Well, then you're always doing the right thing.
Yeah.
They say, one of my huge quotes that I give out is everything you want in life is on the other side of fear. Whatever you're afraid of is stopping you from being what it is that you're supposed to be. And that's why fear exists, is to challenge us to overcome our fears. But most people turn around and run away from them or just refuse to face them. And that's why they stay where they are forever. And you guys don't, because you chose to overcome those. I honestly was terrified to get online and talk and have a podcast. And what was the first thing both of you said to me when I got on here? I was made to do this, right? But yeah, I was terrified. Like I was shaking. I was so nervous. And I don't know why, but I was like, I'm doing it because I'm afraid.
Right. I can remember, Michael, when we were doing the first deposit on our first flip, I was shaking writing the check out for the deposit, shaking. I knew it was the right thing. The numbers all made sense, but we were just like, okay, if we don't put this into action, then all we're doing is talking. That's all we're doing is talking about it. We got to put it into action. And we have sense.
And if you fail, you know what? At least you tried.
Absolutely. And I say that all the time, Kris, because I started this when I was a young police officer. And I said, real estate is my game. I felt like, I would just ride around and look at real estate all the time. And
right.
I did. I bought my first rental property on I think I was maybe 24 years old. And I bought my first rental property. I sold my primary condo, moved in with my cousin, and used the money that I made on my condo and bought my first rental property, and wound up flipping that and selling it. And then I saw an ad in the back of the newspaper, of all places. It was, I'll never forget it.
Now you're dating us, Michael. I don't know that we can continue this conversation. If you say microfish, we're shutting this off.
Yeah, well, that was the whole funny part of this, because I'm looking at the newspaper and it says $99 your flight. It was to Myrtle Beach. It was your flight. It was a hotel and 3 days of looking at new real estate. The company was putting this new thing out, and they wanted to bring people from the Northeast, because we're from the New Jersey area, down to South Carolina, because they were opening up different subdivisions, and they were, touting interest-only loans, so that it would bring you in, suck you in with those interest-only loans. And I flew down there that weekend, and I wound up buying 3 properties on interest-only loans.
Well, I have a similar story about Myrtle Beach, but mine involved golf and strip clubs. And I didn't buy any houses.
They have a little bit of that down there, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's before you started that whole thing. That's all I could think about was the fact that that's nothing in Myrtle Beach except golf courses and strip clubs. So I was like, you're going to do a 3-day real estate. I thought that was different.
Well, I had gone down there. The older officers became a police officer at 18. So the older officers used to bring me down there all the time. I think I started going down there when I was 21 years old, and it was always a 7-day golf trip. So we would do golfing, and then obviously all the extracurricular activities that go along with that.
Sure.
And,
19th hole.
Yeah, and for me. It was funny obviously, because I would take that and I would go. They would be in the bars and other places, and I'd be like, "Hey, I'll be back in a little bit. I'm gonna go meet some friends." And that's when I was going out and searching real estate, just looking and buying. And I would go down there every year and buy a new piece of real estate, and the guys didn't even know what I was doing.
That's hilarious. Well, that shows the hustle that you have, and obviously from an early age, you were ready to be an investor and a buyer, and certainly confident enough to pull the trigger right away. Huh?
Yeah, that was the thing. The great thing about it I would go down and buy these properties right on the intercoastal, but just maybe like a street off the intercoastal. And I was buying them up for 75,000 interest only loans. So I was only paying $400 or $500 a month on each one. But, as they were going, as they were collecting, I was having people come to me and offer me more money for them because they wanted them and they wanted to build their dream house. And, I remember going and looking at my first piece of real estate in a helicopter, because they would bring you up in a helicopter because they didn't even have
roads.
they didn't have roads. They didn't have the infrastructure. You were basically buying a piece of plot of a land. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. One day there's going to be a road to that land.
Yeah.
Well, that's an amazing story. So what about you, Dee? Tell us how you began real estate. I mean, you guys didn't do it obviously together, because you certainly weren't a part of those trips, right? You weren't.
I wasn't, but Michael did some stuff before me, but it was almost like together, and I had my own home and things like that, but together we knew enough to be dangerous. So what I mean by that is Michael knew stuff about it. I knew a little about it, but that could be dangerous, because if you don't know really what you're doing, you can make some big mistakes. 2008 happened, and we were so fortunate that we sold one of the properties that we had right before the crash, or else that would have been a mess. So we knew that we didn't know enough. And so before we started, it was around 2016, right, Michael, that we started this. And we took a lot of classes and spent a fortune. We're the type of people that I want to be educated. I have to know everything about it. And then once I do it, then I'll get the process down. And so we took a lot of classes. And like I said, then we had to put it into action. And so we went to 55 and older community. There's a lot of those in New Jersey and where we live. And we purchased our first flip. You're in Florida. We have a place in Florida too.
The whole state is a 55 and older community.
Well, I'm entering that soon, so that's not a problem. That's very young. So we bought our first property. I think it was $38,000, and it needed to be completely gutted. And that's the one I was saying that we wrote the check and was shaking, literally shaking. Did everything we could, got to get in and out.
This is a good idea.
Applied all that we learned, ran the numbers 100 times. We would sit down and write the numbers down 100 times. And then boom, we did it. And we took all that money then and paid off our education that we had paid for. And then from that, we were able to then go on and on and on. And at one point now we've had over 40 doors of rentals that we manage ourselves.
Property management's a different world.
Oh, you have to be so strong, and you have to be able to have very thick skin. It's not for everyone. It's not.
No. I would say you guys are a good combo for that. It would take a police officer and a strong-minded woman to be a property manager for 40 doors. That's the most thankless job in the world. No one ever calls a property manager just to tell them what a great job they're doing.
No,
they're always complaining. They're always angry. They always need something right now, and it's something that they broke.
Right.
So kudos to you guys.
We have a lot of our tenants stay very long time, so that means they obviously like it, and we have very good tenants, and that comes again.
You like that as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
you'd like for them to rent the rest of their life.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, but that's amazing. So now you guys are still managing that many properties. Now, where are you guys spread out amongst New Jersey, South Carolina, and Florida?
Yes. Most of our rentals are in New Jersey, in Seaside Heights, New Jersey. Okay. So we're at the shore, and then we have one in Florida, and we have a few in Myrtle Beach.
Okay. Still got the ones for the original purchase in Myrtle Beach?
No, I had literally gotten rid of everything, like Dee said, right before the crash in 2008. You guys come from it. And I knew a lot of people that had to file for bankruptcy, and that really lost a lot of money in that whole deal. And we were very fortunate. We were just building our house up in New Jersey at that time. And that was something that really we reinvested in our own house. And that would come into picture later on as we started our passion and our drive into the mental wellness field. So we'll get into that in a few. But more importantly, I just love the real estate game.
And so 40 houses now, is that the cap? Is that where you guys decided to call it
40 doors? Yeah. I don't, you know what? I never
41 is
say,
one too many.
no, like Michael and I, if there's an opportunity and we think it's something good, we'll do it. We did sell off some of them because it just got to be too much when we decided to go to the Resilient Minds on the Front Lines route and follow our passion and start our nonprofit. It is a lot to self-manage all of those places. And so we sold off some of them, but we still have quite a few. And again, we manage them ourselves, and we care. You know, the thing is, when you're going to have properties that you rent, to us, it's all about respect, and it's all about having pride in our properties. And so we're very on top of our properties. They're all beautiful. They're all, up to date, and that's our name attached to that. And so our name is attached to it. So we want to be the best landlords we can be with the best houses we can have. And it's done us very well. It has.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, that's a tremendous success story coming from that shaky strike of the pen that first time. So 40 doors and having all those tenants and all those lives in your hands. I mean, it's a lot. And people don't realize that what's that?
I said, what she forgot to tell you, Kris, is that we had put all our education on a credit card. Okay. And we took cash advances on 2 other credit cards to be able to finance our first deal.
Now, was this the education for real estate, or was this the education for other things? This was the real estate education.
Real estate. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Investments, flipping. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys hired a coach and had a trainer and a program and all that kind of stuff.
Program. Yep. We had a coach fly.
Library.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was, like I said, it's so important to know those things because we thought we knew a lot, but we didn't.
No, and there's nothing. There's no substitute for experience.
No.
After 20 years of being a realtor, I just interviewed a guy who's like in his first couple of years, and I'm like, let me give you a couple of tips. Like I wish some people would have told me these things because I started out in new home sales and was a site agent first and foremost, so I didn't even need a license, so that was great. But then as I transitioned out of site agent, I went to work right away at a brokerage, and I was a marketing director. So I didn't even do general real estate. So I had the license, but I didn't really practice in the traditional sense. But I was running marketing and sales. And then from there, I got into luxury homes, which turned out to be another one of those types of working for the builder. So there really wasn't much general real estate involved. And next thing I know, I've been in the business 10 years and I haven't even done a single day of general real estate. But the final 10 years were all general real estate. So it was a nice balance. And so I understand what you mean too, but there's a lot. Yeah. And you guys are spread across 3 states, which means, how many of those real estate licenses transfer across South Carolina, Florida, and New York or New Jersey?
Well, Michael is Florida and New Jersey, and I'm just New Jersey.
Okay.
But we own investment properties in Myrtle Beach, so I manage them through Airbnb or full-time rentals. Yeah.
But you use an agent there.
We use an agent in Myrtle Beach. Yes.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. See, I wasn't sure because I know the licenses transfer some places and not others. And it's very confusing.
The process starting my license in South Carolina, then I just figured, you know what, I have so much going on, and that's when I kind of transitioned during the COVID times to right before COVID to get my license in Jersey, and that's when I said, you know what, why all this information is fresh in my head. Let me go down to Florida and
pop through that. Were they the same test? Were they easy? It was equally as easy.
No, definitely not.
Which one was more difficult?
Definitely Florida. You had to know a lot more down there, especially a lot of riparian rights, water rights, because there's a lot of water down there that you have to really know. And, obviously sectors in that. So really, and for me, I did it all online. I didn't go to a class and do it. So I had to do it at my own pace, take all the tests, and then obviously go to the next section. And in Florida, you really have to be aware, because I think you only have a certain amount of time after you pass the test to do it, to take the follow-up 40 hour
continuing ed or post education.
Their post education. So for me, it was nonstop.
Yeah, it's I've heard that Florida is the hardest of all the states for real estate, but that's also because the agents here act as most of the legal stuff too. Like we do a lot of the, real estate law. There's not many lawyers involved. Whereas from what I understand, up in some of the New Jersey and New York, you guys use real estate lawyers for a lot more stuff than we do.
Always. And I will tell you that we were investors first and then became real estate agents. I'll be an investor all day long. It is so hard to be an agent. The things you have to do and remember, and the forms and the programs and all that stuff. At first, when I first did it, I said to Michael, I said, I don't know if I could do this. We're used to having an agent walk us through everything, and we're huge proponents, obviously, of using real estate agents. And then I became one, and I was like, this is nuts. This is hard.
These people are crazy. What were they thinking?
Yeah. Let me just manage my rentals and I'll be fine. But it's a tough industry. It is. And you have to be on your game. And, for your clients, you have to be educated. But it's all every time I turned around, there was a new app to put on my phone or a new program to learn or something that I had to manually, fill out, that the signatures. It was just insanity. And so real estate agents really,
without getting into any kind of political nonsense, this whole NAR thing that's going on is changing everything. And for me, I was facing my continuing ed had to be done by September 30th in order to keep my license, and I've had it for 20 years. So I was like, I'm really not capable of keeping up with all the changes that they're doing, not with my injuries. And so I said, maybe it's time for me to retire. Maybe it's time for me to be done with real estate. But I had the podcast going, and I didn't really want to get away from real estate because, yes, you're right, it's insanely difficult, but it's also probably one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done outside of, outside of not-for-profits and things like that. But as just a general overall business and job, helping someone get their first home. There's no better feeling in the world, and then also, to me, it's like juggling. We're always trying to save the day because every day the deal's falling apart and somebody has a problem. And you got 13, 15, 18 people involved in one transaction, and all of them are having an issue. And your job is just to maintain cool and make sure everybody stays calm.
And that everybody communicates. That's the big thing, communication.
Yeah. And nobody knows how to do that because everyone's talking at people instead of to people. And it's the whole not listening. But I agree with you. I think you got to be out of your mind to be a realtor. But at the same time, I've been doing it for a very long time and I love it. So I see the benefit, the upside and the downside. I would say I'm being an investor, if you have the discipline that you guys have, is an amazing option. But property management, I would steer my kids away from all day long. Like I said, if you're not depressed already, I feel so bad for my property managers. I mean, I love them because, wow, they're amazing and they do a great job. But, it's just like I said, it's unfortunate. It's one of those jobs you just never get a phone call where people are like, man, I got to tell you, you guys are amazing. Thanks so much for what a great job you do. It's you only call when something's broken.
Yep. Write a book about stories.
You look at that call and you're like, OMG, what's going to be next?
Yep.
Here it comes. And to be fair though, you could probably do like a reality show off of it and it would be hilarious because the things people call you for, you're like, I mean, how many times have you gone like this? There's no way they made that. Like, did I just hear what I think I heard? Like, you did what with where? You put what
or
where?
the text message that you look at and then you put it down for a minute and then you look at it again like, did I read this right?
Does that say jump rope in the toilet?
Yeah.
I was just going there, Kris. I was just going there because it was.
There's no doubt.
It was the 4th of July weekend. Yeah. It was the 4th of July weekend when one of our toilets were backing up in our 6-family home. And I think when we had the auger come out, it was the 4th of July weekend. So you're paying extra money for them to come out. And
it never happens during the week 9 to 5. Never.
No. That would be convenient.
I think they pulled one of their toys out of the toilet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and it's always some strange situation, and you're like, okay, I got it. Just weird, strange stuff. Later.
Well, I'll tell you something. Though I'll tell you a good one to make you laugh. This one's funny.
Oh, so
we had a tenant that would just complain about everything. They were like professional complainers, right? Everything was fixed up beautiful in their apartment, but they still found something to complain about. So just to be a buster, he decided, and we have cameras around the house and cameras in the common areas, you know, where we can. And just to be a buster, he decided that he was going to call in and say that there was a smell of gas. There was a gas leak in the complex.
That's
so
funny.
I get a phone call. It's going to be funny. I get a phone call. I know the local people here, and they were just like, just to let you know, there's the fire department's on the way to your house. There's a gas leak. And I said, that's amazing. I said, if you find a gas leak, let me know, because there's no gas in the house. It's all electric. So I saw him go.
I hope there's a gas leak, because I'd love to know.
There is. Let me know. I didn't know I had gas in the property.
Was the guy grilling inside? He just brought the propane tank in.
He just went up. No, he did it just to be a buster. Like, he was just doing it to bust our chops. Oh yeah. And so he went upstairs and goes, forget it. I messed it up. There's no gas in the house, right, Mike? Hilarious.
Maybe he was having a personal gas leak.
It could have been, Kris. I mean, it was that funny because I want to say it was another holiday weekend, and we got the phone call because we live right around the block, and I go over there and I'm like, I can see him on the camera when he says, "Oh my God, it's not going to work." He actually runs up the stairs and says it's not going to work on the camera. So, he called out the fire department. He did all this stuff to realize, because he and my one business partner did not get along, and they couldn't get along. So he would sign criminal complaints against them. So I was kind of like the mediator in this whole thing. And then it just became
child care.
Yeah, it's
needless to say, his lease was not renewed.
Yeah,
due to gas issues.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're not renting this unit. It's got a gas leak.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, so the opportunity is here for me to ask a question that I don't get to ask very often. You guys do real estate in New York and real estate in New Jersey, Florida and New Jersey. Sorry, we have a saying in Florida: "Don't New York our Florida." But how different is the real estate markets comparably when you do real estate down here versus up there? And which would you say is easier? Because I know the test is hard, but is the practice easier up there?
I mean, this is from my perspective, and Michael, you can answer this better because you have both. But I just think New Jersey is easier. I didn't want to get involved in Florida. There's a lot of different rules and regulations, tons and tons of condos and condo rules and HOAs. And I was just like, nah, it's not.
How about
me.
CDDs? You like CDDs? That's a fun one.
No.
Try to explain that to your buyer.
Like people were buying in crypto and everything, and my head just can't wrap around that. And I was just like, I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah, it's sort of the wild, wild west down here. Plus, we need warning labels on everything in Florida because everything here will kill you. The animals, the weather, the water. It's the people. It's
praying about this next storm coming. Oof.
Yeah.
And here we go. Are you guys on the West Coast? You guys are on Fort Lauderdale, yeah?
Yeah, we're in the East Coast. Yep.
Yeah,
I think we'll be good on the East Coast. Florida's a lot bigger landmass wise than people think, so it slows down pretty fast coming across the state. But there's always the risk, I guess you could say. But man, it sure has been a crazy season. And the last few years, I was just watching something on social media that showed for 25 years, there was only 2 Cat 4 hurricanes that ever came out of the Gulf of Mexico until 2022. And then there's been 9. I'm like, what's going on in the Gulf of Mexico? So and, I was just down. I have I was down at a campsite in Tampa on the water for the last one, which that camper's gone. So now it's got 2 feet of water inside, so not gonna work. But and then I've got a house on the other side of the coast over by Daytona, and I'm currently in Orlando, which I always used to make fun of people that move to Orlando. I'm like, who moves to the only state with all the beaches but lives in the city that doesn't have a beach? Like I was always that guy that made fun of them. Well, now I'm living in Orlando.
Why?
Because you know what? I've been on the beaches my whole life. And to be honest, I can take a drive in either direction 1 hour and be on a beach. No big deal. But I've got Disney in my backyard. I've got Epcot. I've got Universal, all the Orlando stuff. But on top of that, it's the safest place to be in Florida because there's, the storms, there's no storm surge. That's really what damages everything. So it's like, it's kind of nice being over here and watching the storms come because I don't have that same, oh, no, like I got to board up, I got to bag up, that kind of thing. And so, I guess you don't have to deal with much of that in Jersey, right? What do you deal with in Jersey?
Oh no, we're at the ocean. We are at the ocean. So
you get nor'easters, right? Which is kind of like an evil joke. I feel like it's
but when this town was considered ground zero for Hurricane Sandy, and so there's a whole revitalization going on here, which is phenomenal. But it took years and years to recover from it. We saw the pictures, like the houses, going down the block. That happened here.
Yeah,
that happened.
How about what's going on in North Carolina? I mean, wow.
So tragic.
Mountains. Did anyone know that there was that much water in the mountains? Because my family lives in Asheville, and I've never known that there was that much water in the mountains.
Right.
I was like, what is going on? But just Sandy was another one of those like fluke weird things that it was terrible to see. And I try not to hold any attachment to any material items because attachment is the root of all suffering, and I'm already suffering enough, and I'm trying to live the yogi lifestyle. So, but I also understand people's stuff and people's lives are impacted by these things, and we're the ones that sold them the house. We're the ones that put them in there. We're the ones that, and it's not like we're liable, but in a way, if you have a conscience of any type, you're like, man, sorry, I guess I could have told you more warning, but also like who doesn't know that Florida has hurricanes come across all the time? So, I mean, it's certainly one of those things that I've battled throughout the years where it was like, and fortunately I have never had, knock on wood, none of my clients' homes have ever been wiped out completely. I've had someone lose a roof one time, but yeah, I mean, working on the coastline certainly has its stresses. I don't know if it's as stressful as being a police officer, but certainly stressful.
Well, there's something about living by the water, and Michael and I are beach people. We love the ocean. We love to see it. There's something so tranquil and peaceful about it. So many people just are, they gravitate toward it and are willing to take the risk, as we are, because all three of our investments are on the coast. And so, I don't think I'd ever have it any other way. I wish the storms obviously would never happen, but I have to be by the water. There's just something about it.
I had the, privilege of living in Okinawa, Japan, which is Typhoon Alley. And that's where, they have typhoons, which is just a backwards hurricane. So it's on the other side of the world. So I guess it can't be called a hurricane, but they would clock winds when I was over there on the island at 220 miles an hour, and businesses wouldn't even close because they built their homes out of reinforced rebar with coquina rock, and every window was shatterproof. Every door had latches and was steel and reinforced. So you could literally have these typhoons come through and they wouldn't even close their businesses. They'd still just go about life because nothing got torn down. Everything was built to last. And then I look around over here and I'm like, they just put up a 4-story apartment building using pressed wood and vinyl siding. What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? And I'm certainly not insuring that building. And they did it in 3 days. They built the whole apartment complex.
Yeah,
that's going to be a big issue now. As the insurance is going to be a big problem.
That's a big problem in Florida right now, Kris.
Yeah, well, and unfortunately, FEMA's not helping out much this time around, and we don't exactly have the government in place that we need in order to fix these problems. But the good news is we're only 3 weeks away from some pivotal time. So I think probably the largest and most important election ever is happening in the next couple of weeks, and let's pray that things get better, because you're right. This insurance situation is going to be a nightmare. I've got 3-4 claims open right now. So, I mean, it's, and it is what it is. There's nothing else you can do. I've never had to file them, but it is what it is, and it's,
but that's what it's there for when we need it. When we need it.
I've always been mad about it, because I threw all this money into my insurance for years and never used it. Never been paid out once. So now that I have these claims, I'm like, you know what? I deserve these. I've paid these. These are my. So I think it's also it's going to be a very interesting situation. Let's just hope this.
That's a whole nother podcast, Kris, about insurance.
That's what I was going to say. We'll do that one later. As a segue too, I would love to have you guys on my other podcast and to talk about your not-for-profit and how we can collaborate and make that better too.
Oh, we love that.
Love that.
We'll do the my conversations with Kris, because that'll be a whole different show, and that gives us a chance to start fresh and talk about just that. So we don't get into it right now, because all the real estate people will be like, blah 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 blah. We lost them with insurance.
That's why we developed part of it for real estate agents. And that's because of what you talked about before, is that we were shocked to see the high suicide and drug abuse rate for real estate agents. Because here's the thing, you can go and work hours and hours and weeks and then not make a dime. The deal could fall through, or it never comes to fruition. So finances and all of that are very difficult for real estate agents. And so we developed what we have with Resilient Minds on the Front Lines and developed it specifically for real estate agents. And we're going out all over now talking about it.
Wow. Yeah, we'll definitely have to talk about that.
Yeah, mental health right now.
I'd love to contribute, love to participate, be helpful. And in any way, I obviously chose all the most stressful problems or all the most stressful choices. Military, straight to real estate to, I found yoga, which, afforded me the opportunity to learn how to handle my stuff, because, I just can't agree with the 22 veterans a day committing suicide type thing. Yeah. So if I can single-handedly get that below 20 before I die, I'll feel like I did something in life that was more important than myself. And, I live my life for other people. And when you battle with depression and you battle with bipolar disorder and have the traumatic brain injuries and the medical issues that I have, really the only thing I can do to make myself feel better about my life is help other people. And genuinely, I wake up every day, and as long as I'm helping people, that I'm feeling better. Because if I sit around and let things kind of take their toll, it's too much to bear. It's too much to carry, So
we would love to be on your other show. Absolutely.
And you're living
we'll set that one
purpose, Kris.
I'm sorry, Michael.
I said you're living a life of purpose. Well, you have purpose and meaning in your life.
And I tell you what, I'll be honest, it's hard. It's hard, being a good person and being the guy that's putting yourself out there. It's not the popular thing to do. And it's the thing that people turn their back on you quick. They don't want anything to do with you. And it's amazing, because you would think they would be elated that you're helping people. But it's not like that. We don't live in that type of world. So it's so nice and refreshing to talk to you guys who actually understand and appreciate what it takes to wake up every day and live your life for others, not for yourself. And that to me is what we should be doing. So thank you guys for what you're doing. And we'll definitely have that show. I'll get that scheduled right away, because we got a lot to do.
We do. A lot of work to do. 100%.
And don't forget, anybody that might need this voice. So Michael and I were talking about Joe Rogan signed a $200 million deal. And I was like, I'll just do a $2 million deal. I'd be good with that.
That's right. I come cheap.
I think enough people have asked me to read bedtime stories that I think that's my next adventure, because people say that my voice will put them. I'm like, I'm not sure how to take that. My voice puts you to sleep, huh?
Yeah, just don't fall asleep while I'm talking to you.
Don't be a school teacher, I guess, is the moral of that. Well, hey guys, thanks so much for chatting with me. I will
you.
definitely get scheduled on the other show, and keep doing what you're doing, man. You're providing people homes and a lifestyle that they can enjoy, and that's a really cool thing to do. And obviously, the non-for-profit we'll talk more about, but just shows you guys have amazing character, and from somebody that really recognizes that, thank you guys very much.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll be talking soon. Have a wonderful day today.
All righty.
I gotta go prep for this hurricane.
Good luck.
Watch
Bye-bye.
from afar.
All right. Yeah.
So
be careful. Thank you.
See you guys. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
too.
Let's go! Let's go!